A brave calf who watched helplessly as his mother was overwhelmed by a massive swarm of fire ants knew he had to act fast. He raced desperately for help, but what would anyone do when confronted with such a massive insect swarm? Would they be able to save her? This little calf's mom suddenly collapsed after being bitten by thousands of fire ants. It was up to him to call for assistance. This calf had seen enough scary things in his life to know that when his mom fell down and didn't get up right away, something was very wrong. But even if he had known it was a terrible situation, he couldn't have imagined how bad it actually was. His mom had been attacked by a massive swarm of fire ants, and there were just too many of them. She wouldn't be able to get back up on her own. She needed help, and she needed it fast. The little calf started running toward the road where cars passed by every now and then, hoping that someone would stop and help his mom. But this was a very lonely road, and the little calf didn't know how long it would take for a car to pass by. Even worse, his mom was losing consciousness, and he could see her breathing become slower and more shallow than before. She needed help fast. As the minutes ticked by, the little calf's heart raced with panic. What if no one stopped to help? The thought of losing his mom was just too much to handle, and he let out a desperate cry for help. It felt like the whole world had turned a deaf ear to him. He stood there trembling, surrounded by nothing but silence, and it hit him hard. He was utterly alone. The sun was setting, casting long shadows, and all he wanted was to feel his mother's warm presence beside him. The fear of abandonment gripped him tightly, and he couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. What if she never came back? It was a heavy weight on his tiny shoulders, and the loneliness was almost unbearable. Then, just when he thought all hope was lost, he heard the sound of sirens in the distance. Could this be it? Were they coming to save his mom? As the sound grew louder, the little calf ran toward it, his hopes rising with every step. Then he saw them, a group of firefighters rushing toward him, their faces grim with determination. They had heard his cries, and they weren't going to let him down. The firefighters quickly assessed the situation and knew they had to act fast. There were far too many fire ants for the poor cow to fight off on her own, and she was in danger of being completely overwhelmed. Without hesitation, they jumped into action. One firefighter ran to get the hose, while the others quickly began to pull the anthill apart with their bare hands. They knew that they had to free the cow as soon as possible, and they weren't going to waste any time. The little calf stood there, heart racing, as he watched the firefighters hustle and bustle around his mom. She was surrounded by a massive swarm of fire ants, and it was a horrifying sight. You could feel his fear that it might be too late to save her. But then, like a ray of hope, he spotted the firefighters rushing in with their gear, and his spirits lifted just a bit. Maybe, just maybe, they could still save her. The calf couldn't help but feel a flicker of hope in his chest, praying they'd work their magic in time. With a loud crash, the firefighters managed to break open the top of the anthill, sending the ants scattering in all directions. The cow let out a grateful moo as the firefighters rushed to her side. They quickly doused her with water from the hose, trying to clear away the ants that were still clinging to her body. Time was of the essence, and they had to act fast to save her life. But despite their best efforts, those ants just wouldn't quit. They kept swarming back, biting the poor cow until she finally collapsed again. It was heartbreaking to watch. The firefighters, feeling the pressure, knew they had to act fast and come up with a solid plan. They needed to get the cow away from that pesky anthill and into safety, but it wasn't as easy as it sounds, right? They couldn't just rush in and risk making things worse. Maybe they could use some sort of gentle barrier or distraction to lead her away. It was a real puzzle, and everyone was on edge, hoping for a quick and safe solution. That's when one of the firefighters had an idea. He grabbed a large piece of wood and began to gently nudge the cow with it, trying to get her to stand up and move away from the anthill. The cow was dazed and confused, but she was strong enough to stand up and slowly began to walk away from the danger. The firefighters followed closely behind, keeping an eye on her and ready to help if she needed it. After a real struggle, they finally got the cow away from that pesky anthill, and into a nice open field where those little ants couldn't bother her anymore. Poor thing had been bitten all over and was clearly in a lot of pain. But hey, she was still alive, and that was what mattered most, right? The firefighters couldn't help but cheer as they watched the cow collapse onto the soft grass, totally exhausted, but safe at last. It was such a relief to see her finally resting peacefully, free from those relentless ants. What a day, huh? They had saved her life, and now they could finally focus on getting her the medical attention she desperately needed. But hold on, it wasn't over yet. They still had to tackle that massive anthill that had attacked the poor cow. Can you believe it? Those little critters weren't going down without a fight. They were ready to defend their territory, and the team was equally determined to protect their livestock. It was like a scene from a wild adventure movie, right? With adrenaline pumping, they geared up for battle, knowing that every second counted. With the cow safely out of the danger zone, the firefighters finally took a breath and shifted their focus back to that enormous anthill. They could see it was no small feat. This thing was massive, like a bustling city for ants. They knew it was going to take some serious effort and time to get rid of it, but they were pumped and ready to dive in. No wasting time here. They rolled up their sleeves and got to work, armed with tools and determination, ready to tackle the challenge head-on. You could almost feel the excitement in the air as they planned their strategy, knowing that every little effort would make a difference. With shovels and a few other handy tools, the firefighters got down to business, carefully digging up the anthill. They were super cautious, making sure not to startle the cow grazing nearby. You know how skittish animals can be, right? It was a slow and pretty tedious process, but these firefighters were absolutely determined to eliminate that anthill once and for all. They understood the danger it posed to the cow. Those pesky ants could really be a problem, so they weren't about to let it stick around. Every scoop of dirt brought them closer to a safer environment for the cow, and you could feel their commitment in the air. After what felt like an eternity, those brave firefighters finally tackled that massive anthill. Can you believe it? They dug up every last bit, leaving no ant behind, and it was such a huge accomplishment. Picture them, sweaty and covered in dirt, but with that proud grin on their faces. It was exhausting work, but you could just tell they were satisfied with their effort. Seriously, it's not every day you get to take on a tiny mountain of ants. What a wild day for them. With the anthill finally cleared away, the firefighters could shift their focus to the cow. They gently approached her, checking to see if she was all right and if those pesky ants had left any lasting marks. Thankfully, she seemed okay overall, but it was clear she needed a little TLC. A vet was called in to give her some much-needed medical attention, and everyone was relieved to see her slowly recovering. You could almost feel the tension lift as they made sure she was comfortable. Isn't it amazing how a little care can go such a long way? The firefighters called for a vet to come and check on the cow, and they stayed with her until help arrived. The vet examined the cow and gave her a clean bill of health, but she did have some serious bites and needed some medication. The firefighters were relieved to hear that she was going to be okay, but they knew that they had to stay with her until her owner arrived. The cow's owner finally showed up, and you could just see the relief wash over the firefighters. They were all smiles as they handed the cow back to him. The owner was beyond grateful, showering the firefighters with thanks like they were heroes. I mean, can you imagine losing your cow? It's a big deal. The firefighters felt good about helping out, but deep down, they knew this was just another day on the job. It's moments like these that really highlight the bond between the community and those who serve it. Just a reminder that even in tough situations, a little teamwork goes a long way. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the fire station, the firefighters began to pack up their gear. What a day it had been. They had faced challenges that would make anyone's heart race, but they came through it all. Saving a life? That's the kind of stuff that fills you with pride, right? Each one of them knew that their hard work mattered. As they headed home, laughter and stories about the day filled the air, a reminder of the bond they shared. After all, it's not just a job, it's a calling. The next morning, The firefighters gathered at the station, still buzzing with excitement from the wild rescue operation they pulled off the day before. Can you believe they actually saved a cow from that massive ant hill? Everyone was sharing their favorite moments, like when one of the guys almost got buried in the dirt while trying to dig the cow out. They laughed about how they all worked together like a well-oiled machine, feeling super proud of their teamwork. It was one of those days that really brought them closer, reminding them why they love this job so much. It's not just about fighting fires, it's about being there for each other and the community, right? Even though the firefighters soaked up the praise from everyone around them, deep down they were just doing what they do best, saving lives and, in this case, a cow. Can you believe it? It's not every day you get to rescue a farm animal from a sticky situation, right? Those wild moments really shine a light on the everyday heroes among us, the ones who step up when it counts. It's those little acts of courage that remind us how connected we all are. So, what do you think? Isn't it amazing how a simple rescue can bring a community together and inspire us all to be a little braver? Even though the firefighters soaked up the praise from everyone around them, deep down they were just doing what they do best, saving lives and, in this case, a cow. Can you believe it? It's not every day you get to rescue a farm animal from a sticky situation, right? Those wild moments really shine a light on the everyday heroes among us, the ones who step up when it counts. It's those little acts of courage that remind us how connected we all are. So, what do you think? Isn't it amazing how a simple rescue can bring a community together and inspire us all to be a little braver? For the firefighters, saving that cow was just another day at the office, you know? But for the cow and her owner, it was a heart-stopping, life-saving experience. Picture this. The cow, once trapped and scared, is now back to her old self, happily grazing in the sun-drenched fields and spending quality time with her adorable calf. It's like a happy ending straight out of a storybook. And the owner? They're beyond grateful to those brave firefighters for swooping in and making everything right again. It's amazing how a little heroism can change lives, right? Just goes to show how every rescue, big or small, can make a world of difference. The tale of the firefighters who rescued a cow trapped in a massive anthill has truly become a local legend, right? I mean, who wouldn't want to hear about such an epic act of bravery? Picture this. A group of firefighters, adrenaline pumping, racing against time to save this poor cow. It wasn't just about the rescue. It was all about teamwork and quick thinking under pressure. They worked together, using their tools and creativity to free the cow without causing harm. It's a heartwarming reminder of how essential these heroes are in our community, always ready to jump into action, whether it's saving animals or protecting lives. People will definitely be sharing this story for years to come, celebrating the courage and dedication of those firefighters. How cool is that? Next time you spot a firefighter, don't just walk past them, stop and give them a big shout out for all the amazing work they do. Seriously. These guys and gals are the real-life heroes who jump in when things get rough. Whether they're battling blazing fires or rescuing someone from a tricky situation, their bravery is just incredible, don't you think? And it's not just about the action. It's about the countless hours of training they put in to keep our communities safe. So, next time you see one, maybe take a moment to say thanks. They totally deserve it. We are an AI-powered voice for the voiceless. Our mission is to rescue, rehabilitate, and raise awareness for weak, injured, and abandoned animals through the power of technology and creativity. With the help of AI, we create impactful videos that share inspiring rescue stories, spread knowledge about animal care, and encourage compassion for all living beings. Our goal is to make the world a kinder place for animals, one video at a time. Whether it's through storytelling, educational content, or awareness campaigns, we're here to shine a light on the importance of protecting and helping animals in need. Join us on this journey of hope and transformation. Subscribe, share, and help us create a brighter future for our furry friends.